It's Friday, just after 6:30. This is BBC London. And cyclists are targeted by gangs on mopeds for their bikes. A popular route for riders between London and Hertfordshire has led to warnings.
He then turned the axe round and was waving it at my face, sort of waving it across in front of me, saying, give me the bike, get off your bike, give me the bike.
Police call on cyclists to contact them if they think they're being followed. Also tonight, owners of an 8-year-old business in South London vow to rebuild it after it burnt to the ground last week.
If you are in Greenwich, the ship isn't hard to miss. It's 15,000 tonnes, it has 10 decks, and it's 176 metres long. Find out more about the Dutch ship that's in the Thames.
And Londoners have been running around in the dark to prepare for a record-breaking challenge. Good evening. A number of cyclists using a popular route between London and Hertfordshire have described being targeted by gangs on mopeds who then steal their bikes. Attacks have taken place with riders being knocked off before being threatened with weapons. In one case, which you'll see shortly, a cyclist is confronted by a person wielding an axe. As a result, police are now telling cyclists to alert them if they feel they're being followed. With our top story, here's our transport correspondent, Tom Edwards.
Violent robbery caught on dash cam where the attackers are wielding an axe. They push the cyclist off his bike, trying to take it. The horn scares them away. A number of these violent attacks have happened in the lanes of North London and Hertfordshire. Shaber Ilyas lost his bike when he was attacked recently in a separate incident. Again, it involved moped riders.
I was being hit repeatedly on my shoulder with a hard object. I didn't know what it was, and they were shouting, stop, stop, swearing, saying stop. I sort of jammed on the brakes. I almost fell into the ditch. I just managed to stay upright. They continued hitting me on my shoulder, and then they were just. Then I sort of turned to look at them, and I saw he was hitting me with the reverse of a sort of hand axe. He then turned the axe round and was waving it at my face, sort of waving it across in front of me, saying, give me the bike, get off your bike, give me the bike. And the axe was probably no further than that away from my face. I was just in complete sort of shock.
It sounds absolutely terrifying.
It was. And actually, you know, yes, I'm upset about the loss of the bike. The biggest thing was the threats of violence and the way they behaved towards me. And if I had tried to put up a fight, what they might have done.
This is where one of the violent attacks took place, and the gangs seem to be targeting these thoroughfares where cyclists from London make their way to the countryside of Hertfordshire, and cycling groups want the police to take this pattern of attacks much more seriously.
It seems that they're deliberately targeting solo cyclists because they know these bikes are obviously worth money. And it seems that we're a soft target. And the police have been very good in taking a statement and trying to find out. But it's something that really needs to be cracked down on, because all it's going to take is one day for someone to just say the wrong thing or even fall off their bike when they're being attacked. And this could be something that's very serious.
You have been out on your bike since, but you're saying you wouldn't go out on your own.
I don't feel comfortable going out on my own at the moment. I just don't. I'm just too nervous to do so. I've been very fortunate in that people have reached out to me and have sort of ridden to my house to collect me, and then I've gone out again. I wanted to go out again. I didn't want it to be a rod for my own back where I didn't go out.
And Shaber has a warning to other cyclists.
I think it's very important that the message is out there that if you're going out on your own, you need to be careful. At the moment, I'd be saying to people in Hertfordshire or in London coming out to Hertfordshire, ride in groups, don't ride on your own, which is a terrible thing to be saying. But at the moment, that's the reality of the situation.
Hertfordshire Police is investigating. It wants other cyclists who have been attacked to get in touch. Cyclists want this violence in the usually quiet lanes to stop. Tom Edwards, BBC London.
Well, you're watching BBC London. Here's what's still to come this weekend.
Hi, we're looking at what impact new emergency house building plans will really have. And we're finding out why hundreds of people from the Chagos Islands are making their homes in one small part of the capital. So do join me, Samantha Simmons, this Sunday at 10 a.m. on BBC One. See you then.
A man who murdered two men in West London and dumped their bodies in a suitcase has been told by a court that he may never be safe to be freed. Justin Mosquera murdered 62-year-old Albert Alfonso and 71-year-old Paul Longworth in Shepherd's Bush before their remains being taken to Bristol. A warning: you might find some of the details in Frankie McCamley's report distressing.
Justin Mosquera caught on camera by a cyclist who had stopped to help him. The attention spooked him. Mosquera had been on Clifton Suspension Bridge in Bristol, struggling with two large suitcases, a suspicious sight, so the police were called.
The case is broken and it looks like it's really heavy and there's blood coming out of it. Yeah, we're convinced it's blood.
It was blood in the bags from the remains of 62-year-old Albert Alfonso and his partner 71-year-old Paul Longworth, who Mosquera had murdered 2 days earlier. Police used their address labels on the cases to find the rest of their remains in a freezer at their home at a flat in Shepherd's Bush. Mosquera killed Paul Longworth first, beating him in the head at least 10 times with a hammer. He then hid his body in the storage section of Mr. Longworth's divan bed. Later that day, he killed Albert Alfonso in a filmed sex session before trying to access the dead man's bank accounts. Early the next afternoon, a chest freezer was delivered. The next evening, Mosquera hired a man with a van, loaded the cases with the body parts on board and was driven to Bristol. And that is how he ended up on the Clifton Suspension Bridge. Today at Woolwich Crown Court, Mosquera was sentenced to a minimum of 40 years.
It was their tragedy that you, Justin Mosquera, came into their lives and on the 11th of July last year killed them both. I now have to sentence you for these premeditated and thoroughly wicked crimes.
The judge went on to say it may never be safe to set the 35-year-old free. Frankie McCamley, BBC London.
Well, now a moment to take a look at some more local stories in the headlines today. A fourth officer whose conduct at Charing Cross Police Station was featured on the BBC Panorama programme has been dismissed from the force. Further misconduct hearings scheduled for today and next week were adjourned as the BBC only yesterday shared with the Independent Office for Police Conduct unaired video footage. The US R&B singer Chris Brown has made a surprise appearance in a London court ahead of his trial next year on charges of attacking a music producer in a nightclub in Mayfair. Brown has denied attempting to inflict grievous bodily harm over what prosecutors say was an unprovoked attack with a bottle in 2023. The Bank of England's chief financial officer, Afua Che, has been named as the UK's most influential person in the Power List 2026. It recognises the most powerful people of African, African Caribbean and African American heritage in the country. 3 men have been sentenced to over 14 years in prison for conning pensioners in a wine investment scam. The trio convinced older people to invest their money in overpriced fine wine, with the bottles often worth only a quarter of what victims paid for them. Nicola Hazler has this report.
What would your husband say to you? He'd say, "Come on, my beautiful Marine, get up, be strong for me, my dear. You have to do this, you have to get through this."
I'm still getting over my husband dying.
This is a scammer trying to get Maureen, who's recently lost her husband, to part with her money by investing it in wine at vastly inflated prices.
You know you want to do this and you know it's the right thing to do.
The recordings released as part of the investigation reveal how fraudsters like him convince victims to buy cases of fine wine with the false promise of profit. It was Hertfordshire Trading Standards who unravelled the fraud and traced people like Terry who had invested money in Imperial wines.
They kept on trying to offer me better and better deals, you know, instead of just a slight profit. These were really good wines, we're going to make a lot of money. I said more no's, no, 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 and they kept coming back trying to sell me more and more wine.
On the wall of the call centre, a sign saying no means yes. Terry invested £40,000 over 2 years.
The wine I purchased was probably something like £2,000 a bottle, and it was only worth £400 a bottle.
In fact, a team of young call centre staff were taught to cajole and manipulate trusting pensioners by 3 fraudsters who ran Imperial wines.
There's someone that does care about you, and let's make the right steps going forward. Does that make sense, yeah?
Yes.
All they were caring about is how much money can I make, and that's just disgusting.
The fraudsters sent out glossy brochures with fake endorsements from the Daily Telegraph. The salespeople were made to watch The Wolf of Wall Street to learn manipulation tricks. Some victims, who are often bereaved and lonely, were wined and dined by the company to create a sense of trust. The court said it was a sophisticated fraud which involved significant planning. Benjamin Kazali, Gregory Asamakis and Dominic Dessar were jailed for a total of 14.5 years after investors lost their homes, their pensions and, in one case, their marriage. Nicola Hazler, BBC London.
Generations of people in Forest Hill have become well acquainted with the Finch family who run the local sports shop. It's why over the past week locals have actually rallied around the Finches after a devastating fire destroyed the shop, which first opened back in 1947. Well, money's been raised to help the family get back on their feet, and the Finch family is absolutely determined to do just that. Wendy Hurrell went to meet them.
All that's left of a family business that's been in Forest Hill for more than 70 years. Fire tore through Finch's Emporium last Thursday. The flat where they lived above was also destroyed. Bradley Finch was there at the time and was helped to escape by locals.
Grabbed the dog under one arm, like my daughter was holding my hand. She's 10. All of this happened in less than 15 minutes. Like, from me being upstairs having food with my daughter and she was watching cartoons on TV, to being downstairs trying to fight the fire, to being back upstairs to try and work out where to go, was trying my hardest to get to a place where I could get onto the street. So yeah, it was mental.
Amidst the wreckage, hints at what this used to be, the remains of shelves that held ski boots ready to be fitted ahead of the winter season. Finch's Emporium was a characterful treasure trove of sports equipment, somewhere to get your bike serviced or join a community event.
Like, I used to play hide and seek in the shop. That was where me and my friends used to play tag in the shop. Then if I had sleepovers at my house, everyone played in the shop. It was the coolest playground in the world. My dad was born in there, you know, it was everything.
More than 100 firefighters tackled the blaze, which London Fire Brigade said was started accidentally. Local people have offered support. This is a family well known and well loved in this area of London.
We've got so many wonderful communities. We've got our staff, we've got our friends, with the whole of Forest Hill and Perivale particularly. You know, they've cried more than me so far, you know. And our customers all over the world, I've had emails and messages.
Local businesses have rallied in solidarity with bake sales, raffles and donations to help Angela, Frank and their son Bradley through the difficult months to come.
Frank hasn't spent 50 years to walk away. I haven't spent 40 years to walk away. We just got it how we want. We'll rebuild. It might be smaller. It might take us years to do it, but you know, we wanted to be a Finch in Perivale, not anywhere else, in Perivale forever. Yeah.
Wendy Hurrell, BBC London.
Yeah, very best of luck to them as well. You're watching BBC London, still to come before 7.
I'm in Camden, where 40 lucky Londoners are training with a professional footballer at an event hoping to bring more talent through to the women's game.
Now, you never need a good reason to visit Greenwich. There's so much to see there all the time. But this weekend, there's even more. 15,000 tonnes of metal has arrived near the Old Royal Naval College. And not surprisingly, it's getting lots of attention. Bryony Williams has spent the day on board a NATO warship, would you believe? Bryony.
Yes, we're just down from the Cutty Sark, and this is the Johan de Witt, a NATO warship. It's a Dutch Navy ship. It's actually the second largest vessel in the Dutch Navy, and at the moment it's part of a NATO maritime group protecting the northern flank of Europe. About 170 crew on board. We're doing various jobs, keeping it going, but as you can see, even in this light, it is huge, and it has room for over 600 military personnel on board. There's even a medical facility with an operating theatre if there's any injuries or emergencies. But one of the key things it's doing here in the UK is hosting dignitaries to reaffirm NATO alliances as the world becomes more hostile and a more of a tricky place for defence as it steps forward into ensuring our security here. And I've been finding out more about what it's been doing earlier on today. The Johan de Witt. The Dutch ship is in the Thames at Greenwich on a pit stop after its NATO deployment Baltic Sentry. It's the flagship of a naval group providing security for the alliance's northern and eastern European region. And one of its missions is making sure critical underwater infrastructure is protected from any threats.
It is very real. Things are happening, and you may not be seeing them right now. They are out there. So it is important for us to keep a good lookout, to make sure that we're seeing what's happening. So around your doorstep, there's Dutch, Belgian, French, German ships, making sure you're secure.
The Johan de Witt acts a bit like a command and control platform for a group of ships, including British ship HMS Duncan, which recently shadowed a Russian vessel in the English Channel.
My staff was running that specific operation. We give the tasking to HMS Duncan that was in the channel. They do the intercept, they follow the ship and report to us, and then we send on the information to Maritime Command in Northwood.
The Dutch ship also has helicopters, drones and landing craft at its disposal from allied countries as part of what's called Standing NATO Maritime Group 1, so it's ready for anything.
That's the whole point of NATO. We work together so we can fight together. And the more we do this kind of work together, I think it increases everyone's capabilities.
If you are in Greenwich, the ship isn't hard to miss. It's 15,000 tonnes, it has 10 decks, and it's 176 metres long. And it's expected to be in the capital for a week. Bryony Williams, BBC London.
Yeah, well worth seeing. Now we're going from sea level to far below sea level, because this weekend a group of runners is taking on a marathon nearly a mile, would you believe, underground. It's the world's deepest marathon, and there aren't many ways you can train for it. But the team from London don't lack grit or determination. We caught up with Claire Marie, Rosario and Paul Gurney.
Huge challenge. It is hot down there. It's a bit more humid than it is at the surface level, and it's going to be one of the toughest challenges that most people have ever done. We have set out to break 2 Guinness World Records. So the first one is hosting the deepest marathon in history. This is an official marathon in Sweden. Secondly is for the people taking part actually completing a marathon full 42.2 kilometres deeper than anyone else has ever done it before.
I live in South East London, but some of the training runs for this have required like 30-kilometre runs. So I've been passing some really nice sites like Buckingham Palace. I've been past the London Eye. So it's been great actually to see more of the city. So this marathon is going to be really different to my last marathon. The last one I did was London, so I had all the crowds, all of the atmosphere of London Marathon. Whereas this one, we're going to have no crowds, no music. So it's definitely going to be a real mental battle.
I'm not actually a massive fan of running. It's a difficult sport, but what I do love is pushing myself, seeing what is possible. And this is why I think this challenge is so extraordinary, getting to do something that no one else has ever done before. And I know that's why everyone else is taking part as well. It's amazing. We've got 60 people from all over the world, 18 countries flying in to do this extraordinary challenge and hopefully raising a huge amount of money for charity. I've been taking every opportunity I can to train. So I've been running around London, been doing a few runs at night time to simulate it being in the tunnels, really wherever I can. It's not an easy thing to do when you're working full time, but what a great challenge. But I hope we can all complete and finish it and have a great time in doing it. Secondly, I hope we break the 2 Guinness World Records we've set out to do. And lastly, I hope we raise $1 million for our charity.
Yeah, good luck to Paul and to Claire Marie, who will run the deepest marathon with their team tomorrow. And yeah, wish them the very best of luck. Now, we've had an unrivalled 6 months of football in London. A giant crushing Crystal Palace won the FA Cup. Tottenham Hotspur won the Europa League. And Chelsea got the Club World Cup. While the magnificent Lionesses, who can forget, won the Euros again. And let's not forget Arsenal women's winning the Champions League. I could go on, and apologies for not mentioning all the other club successes. But today, an organisation has been marking young players' dreams of playing with the professionals, coming one step closer. Here's Matt Graveling.
What a summer of sport here in England. We've had the Rugby World Cup win, the cricket team are in the World Cup semi-finals, and of course the Lionesses bringing home that European glory for the second time in a row, inspiring young women across the capital. But what good is inspiration without action? And that is what's happening here today in a session called Train with a Pro. And that pro is with me right now. It's Molly Bartrip from Tottenham. What are you going to be telling the girls here today?
To play with a smile, learn from the coaches, learn from each other, and just enjoy yourself, I think.
You've been in the game for 11 years. You started as a young girl. How has it changed in that time?
Massively. I mean, I was playing with boys at their age, so it definitely has come a long way. We're seeing, you know, these girls have role models now to look up to. I didn't have that. Mine was John Terry, so that says everything. But now, you know, theirs can be Leah Williamson, Lucy Bronze, and it's amazing because it's pretty expensive to be part of an academy, so it's important that these girls have all access as much as possible, and you know, all age groups and abilities allowed here.
This has been run by the Bloomsbury Foundation. You've just become an ambassador for that. This is the first of 6 sessions that you'll be holding for them, and their ambition is to get 10,000 girls across the country playing each week. How important is it to capitalise on this golden moment that we've got at the moment?
I mean, that's so exciting. Imagine 10,000 girls by 2028. Like, that is the dream, and I think that's what we've wanted. You know, as I said, growing up, it wasn't as easy to be with play with girls, and especially to be able to have a role model that's a female figure. So I think it's super important at moments like this we treasure it, and hopefully I give them that extra motivation and inspire them a little bit.
OK, well, from a Tottenham player to an Arsenal fan, I've got an eye here. Train with a pro, but train with a Tottenham player. Just tell me first and foremost, what is it like for you to train with a pro?
Training with pro is a really good experience to learn new stuff and new skills, and it's just a really good opportunity to have. It would be great if all girls could do it to learn more things.
Thank you so much. Well, let's bring in Olivia, who is split loyalties in North London, supports Arsenal and Tottenham, which is a novelty. Olivia, I've got to ask, what is your ambition as a young girl looking up to the Lionesses for the future?
I'd love to get as good as I can for as long as I can. I love soccer, and it's my favourite sport, and I love playing, and I love being out on the pitch.
How is it to train with a pro today?
I love it. It's probably the best soccer experience I've ever had.
Well, there you go. We're turning inspiration into action, and if you want to get involved, then search for Bloomsbury Football online, because they hold sessions like this around the capital, and who knows, you could be training next to a pro.
OK, let's take a look at the weather forecast now. And Kate, lovely day today. I know it's a bit chilly, but nice and sunny, as we can see from the picture behind.
So nice first thing this morning, wasn't it? Nice and fresh after yesterday's rain and the storm. It looked like this first thing. Plenty of blue sky, that freshness in the air, very pleasant indeed. And it continued really for much of the day as well. So we've had this sunshine through the afternoon, perhaps a little bit more in the way of cloud. And actually, we did have 1 or 2 of these. Now, the showers started to fizzle out as they moved towards us, but parts of West and South London saw a few showers and, of course, a few rainbows. Now, of course, It's the weekend. What have we got in store? It's going to feel a little bit colder, similar, if not a little bit colder than today. It should, however, be mostly dry with some sunshine. Now this, if you remember yesterday's storm Benjamin, still hovering about in the North Sea, making very slow progress eastwards. But as it does, it's dragging in this northerly flow, and that is what's going to make things feel cold. Now into this evening, those showers should fizzle out. To start with, we've got some clear spells, temperature drops a little, then we're going to get more cloud and then some more showers into dawn tomorrow morning. Minimum temperature not quite as chilly as last night, between 7 and 9 Celsius. So a few showers first thing on Saturday morning, but you'll notice short-lived. They will clear out of the way. The wind, a northwesterly at this point, it is going to be fairly fresh and chilly too. Temperatures 9 to 11 Celsius. Lots of sunshine though. Despite that, it's probably not going to feel like 11 Celsius. Now, don't forget, of course, overnight Saturday into Sunday, the clocks go back. It is indeed the end of British summertime. Extra hour in bed, which is probably best spent there because it's going to be a really chilly night overnight Saturday into Sunday. Still fairly breezy, but under those clear skies, 2 Celsius, potentially the minimum. So a cold start as we head into Sunday. There's our storm Benjamin still slowly moving out of the way. This system starts to move in overnight on Sunday. So at the moment, Sunday is looking like a dry start. We'll see some sunshine first thing, but gradually we'll start to see a little bit more in the way of cloud towards the end of the day, and then the light rain arrives in the evening. Fairly unsettled with some rain overnight, but a drier day for Monday. Temperatures you'll notice as we head through next week, slowly recovering, getting a little bit warmer again.
Yeah, after a chilly weekend. Kate, thanks very much. OK, time now for a recap of some of the main news in the headlines today. Police have launched a manhunt after an asylum seeker who sexually assaulted a 14-year-old girl was mistakenly released from prison. Hadusha Kebatu was jailed over the attack in Epping last month. A swearing-in ceremony has taken place in the Welsh Parliament for new Assembly member Lindsay Whittle. He won the Caerphilly by-election for Plaid Cymru. Reform came second and Labour were a distant third. And local people in Forest Hill have been rallying around a family who lost their sports shop in a fire last week. The store opened back in 1947 and has remained in the family for generations. Local people have raised money to help the Finch family get back on their feet. Well, that's it for now. I'm back at 10:30 on BBC One with our late news. Before then, you can go to the BBC London on Facebook or on X for more images and snippets of the day's stories. We have over 4 million followers on both. Doesn't even include Instagram. Hope you can join me later. For now, have a very good evening. Bye-bye.